hello. Welcome to the Dr. Ross Show. I am so excited about my guest today, the incomparable Marsha Haygood. Welcome to the show, Miss Haygood.
Hi, man. How are you? I am so excited to be talking to you on your show. We have such a good time when we talk on the telephone, so this should be fun.
I know. I'm so excited to have you. And our guests today, they have no idea that they are in for a treat. The goodness that comes from you, the genius of Marsha Haygood. Guys, you just have no idea of what's in store today. So with saying that, Miss Haygood, how about you tell our audience today about who you are, your greatness?
My greatness. Well, Marsha Haygood. I'm the founder and president of StepWise Associates. I'm a career coach, an empowerment coach, motivational speaker, author, co-author of the Little Black Book of Success, and the co-founder of Black Women of Influence, located in New York. I'm based between New York and Sarasota, Florida. I'm in Florida now. And I just love what I do. I love talking to people. I love working with folks to help guide them towards their greatness. I think that people should be blessed enough, lucky enough, happy enough, successful enough to do those things that they are called to do and to do them well. And I sort of encourage them to do that by being their strategic thinking partner.
So, this series is having a seat at the table. And I love doing the lunch and learns because we're catching people in their lunch hour, and even when they didn't realize that they might have some great goodness, you're about to give them some wonderful, wonderful nuggets. And so your other background is that you've also worked in the entertainment industry. You did human resources for
New Line and Orion. I worked in the entertainment industry for over 25 years. Loved it, but glad to be doing it on my own now.
Yeah. So I know you're like this talent development expert. So can you explain a little bit about what that is?
Talking to people and trying to help them sort of take their dreams out of storage. So oftentimes we are so busy being busy that we don't do the things that we're really meant to do, that we really enjoy doing. And I think that if you start thinking about those talents, don't take them for granted. Use them if you enjoy that. If that's what you enjoy, you should do, and sort of incorporate that into your daily, weekly, annual routine. Part of what you do. I am a big believer that you should be both happy and successful. And so the talent development is sort of helping you pull that out of yourself, sort of be intentional with what you do.
I love that. I love this idea of intentionality because so many times we are just doing things because it looks like this is what we need to do to get to where we want to go in our career. And sometimes it's not the correct path for us.
Right.
And so in regards to your vast experience when it comes to leadership, when it comes to hiring, right? Because I like to speak to a lot of our younger guests who are just starting out in the career field, who are really trying to figure out, where do I go? Is this something beneficial? How do I make this work for me? What sage advice? And let me just say, guys, if you're watching on Facebook, if you're watching on YouTube, if you have questions or comments, go ahead and put them in the chat box. We will get to them. I meant to say that earlier, so I apologize. But what advice do you have for someone who's actually trying to get that seat at the table?
I start off very basically, and I say the first person that you lead is yourself. So what is it that you want to do? What are your values? And are you living those values? You can't say, I really want to do this, but you act very differently. So I say you start there. The first person you lead is yourself. And then dream and dream big. You know, I have a program. It's very interesting. I have a program called DARE. And DARE is dream, review, excel, act, excel. And then go out and move. Do the things that you say you want to do. Those things that will make you happy and be successful at whatever it is you do. So you start there, but you also have to listen and learn. Having an ego that is too large will take you off course. So you have to be intentional. You have to focus on things. And especially now, I have to remind my clients to always think about what it is they want to do next and not try to do everything at one time. You will overwhelm yourself, and chances are you won't get anything done.
Listen, you are speaking to the choir. I am the queen of trying to do it all.
You can't.
And it's so crazy. I think that I learned maybe late 30s, maybe that this is not your ministry.
Yes,
You can't do it all. So pick the one thing that you're really great at,
yes.
right?
And set some time to it. It doesn't mean you can't do all of those things. It doesn't mean that at all. But I say pick something you want to do. You know, it's interesting. I actually read something that, and I'm starting to repeat this more and more. I read something that Warren Buffett talks about, okay? He talks about picking 25 things that you want to do, just 25 things that you really want to do, not task, actual goals, the results of something. What is it you want to do? 25 things. Then look at your list of 25 things and pick the top 5. Okay? He said, because the other 20 are distractions, keeping you away from those 5 things you want to do. Just put them aside for a while. You can still do them later. Put some time frames to those 5 and then work on those. Be intentional about working on those. So I like to do that. I'm a dreamer. I have lots of ideas. And if I don't write them down, trust me, they're good ideas today. Next week, I'm saying, what was that good idea I had? I don't have a clue. It might even be tomorrow that I can't remember what that dream was. So I write them down. And then you can ask yourself questions when you start to do something else. You say, does this fit into that great idea that I was supposed to be working on? If it doesn't, put it aside. You know, in the little black book, we talk about a PLN. And a PLN is personal leadership notebook. Put your ideas in your personal leadership notebook. Put your accomplishments in your personal leadership notebook, because accomplishments are also something that you tend to forget, especially if you do them easily or you do them well. You tend to take those for granted.
Absolutely.
So document those things. If you're in a corporation or someplace that is going to be reviewing your performance, then you should have a list of your accomplishments and you should be able to articulate them. You should be able to tell your story. So getting a seat at the table means telling your story, telling it well, speaking about it in a way that's not a brag. It's just a fact. You know, talk in brag bites.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Brag bites. You know, have brag bites and talk in brag bites, but share what you've accomplished. And you know what? Those people who can't appreciate what you have to offer, move away from them, because they're only going to put you down. They're only going to put you down anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Now we say you got to find your tribe. You got to find those people who are there for you. You got to find those people who support you, who, are rooting for you. And sometimes that's not always easy to see.
Yeah.
It's not always easy to see. And unfortunately, if I think back to my younger self, sometimes you become discouraged.
Yeah. But you know what? I like to say I need to have my personal board of directors. Your personal board of directors is it's not a big group. You can have a bigger networking group, but 4 or 5 people that you can count on to tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Absolutely.
And that you can just give a call or go visit or send a message to and say, help me through this. Let me run something by you. So
But it's so important to have those people in your corner who are going to tell you the truth. We all need that at some point or another. We all need to have someone who's going to tell us the truth in a way that is going to make us perform better. So not telling the truth in terms of, let me put you down because you're horrible, but hey, the way you did that, maybe you should do it this way. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah.
So because you are this expert in leadership, how does one, so say for instance, I'm starting out, new position.
Yes.
How do I show that I have leadership skills without being seen as a know-it-all, without being seen as people hate to see you coming because you do? I mean, it happens.
Yeah.
I have a personality that I'm always like, hey girl, how are you? And I just like to talk to people, but I understand when people see me, they're like, I'm not in the mood to just do all that today. I get it. I have moments like that too. So
Yeah.
I'm keenly aware of people not wanting the rahs, right? At certain times. But when you're in a professional space, how do you show those leadership skills?
Well, you sort of said it when you said, I'm keenly aware. It's because you look, you learn, you listen. I think that people have different ways of showing leadership style. But the first thing that they should be doing is know what those leadership styles are that they're trying to demonstrate. Make sure that they're living those, and that's personally and professionally. You don't get a chance and to do it one way today. On Monday, I'm like this, and on Wednesday, I'm like that. You need to be centered in what you enjoy, what you like, and what you do well.
Yeah.
And then you can you can talk to people who also need to hear from you. And sometimes that takes a little research. Now, this is where I get into strategy. I think you should know something about the people who you want to influence. I think of things in 3 ways. Who do you know? And chances are we know people like this. We're just not thinking about it. Who do you know? Who do you need to know? And then who needs to know you? Who do you know? Who do you need to know? Who needs to know you? Start looking at that. And you know what? I think that during this crazy time that we've had this year, that this was the perfect time to sit back and say, oh my goodness, let me put a plan in place. Who do I know? And those people who you know and those people who have helped you move forward or done something for you, how about getting in contact with them, calling them, sending them a little note? Hey, God forbid you write a letter, put some stamps and write little thank you notes for just thinking about you, or hope all is well situation, because that builds your credibility. You're not asking for anything. You're not asking for a job. You're not asking for a lot of advice. You just want to tighten the network. That's who you know. Who do you need to know? I'm telling you that I'm a big fan of LinkedIn.
Okay.
Because I think that you can go by and see people who you want to meet, and all these podcasts and webinars that are on. People are chatting in the box. People are giving their LinkedIn connections and saying, "Connect with me." Connect with them, and then say something. Don't send the lazy LinkedIn message that just pushes the button.
Yeah.
Write an additional note that says, I saw you on this podcast, or I heard you speak, or I just read your book, or whatever, and I'd love to connect with you. And then follow up. And think about who it is you need to know. that's based on your values and your goals and what you want to do next. Who do I need to know who can help me through this? Who can I start following? You know, a lot of people say, oh, I'm following people on Pinterest and I'm following people on Instagram. And I ask, and what have you learned from them?
Mm.
And does what you learn from them fit into the values and your goals for moving forward? It's nice to follow people. It's okay, but I want to learn something. I want to know something about you. And those people who don't want to put stuff on social media, that's fine. But then if I still want to know them, I'm going to do some other things. I have a friend called Google, the Google. The Google is your friend. The Google is your friend. Find out something about them. People like to know that they're visible, that they're heard. So it could be something as simple as, you know what, join a book club. What are you reading? I'd love to share this book that I just read for anyone who's interested in whatever it is. Or I read this great article. You know, people are putting out articles all the time. Are you just pressing the like button? You should be pressing something more. Make a comment. Let me know you're thinking.
Yeah.
That's how you move up. That's showing leadership in a very different way than going in and saying, I'm the boss or I'm so smart.
No, I love that idea. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I love that idea of it sounds like just showing manners, right? You know, sending a note or saying, I'm thinking about you, saying, I think that things are well, and and I never thought about it in this way, but just your manners give you credibility.
Give you credibility. And it does. That's your credibility. That's your value. That's how you show who you really are.
That is such a golden nugget.
Yeah.
It's such a golden nugget because, you know, oftentimes we are running around doing everything. And as you spoke about earlier about intentionality,
Yes.
we're doing everything. We're just doing anything with no rhyme or purpose to be seen.
Yes.
To be seen, to be accepted, to be seen as this person that people want to be in their presence. But it's just, it really does come back to those simplistic ideas of just your manner, how you show up in the world.
How you show up. Now think about this, Dr. Roz, because we met because someone who met me, 10 years ago?
Yes.
When you said you were doing a podcast and she wrote a note to you saying, I think I know somebody who would be perfect to talk to you. And then you and I got on the phone and within 10 minutes, we were like old friends. We were laughing and talking and sharing ideas. You know, it happens. It can happen that way. You know, it doesn't have to be, I have a podcast and I want to talk to you. And I said, and I have a book and I want to talk to you. It was none of that going on.
Yeah, no. Joan, my good friend Joan, she was like, listen, I'm going to connect you with the queen.
I hadn't spoken to Joan in ages. However, she was on my list and I wrote a little note saying, I hope all is well. Haven't spoken to you in a long time. How you doing?
Wow. You
know, it's all it is. Go back through your own contact list.
Yeah.
Go back through your whole LinkedIn connection. Just tell people you care about them.
And you know, it does make a difference because people want to be seen.
That's right.
People want to know that you care, and you can't just always go to someone just asking.
That's right.
Something and not replenishing them in the process.
Absolutely. It's reciprocal. You need to be able to do it. And if the first time I hear from you is when you're asking me because you're trying to find a job or you need a coach or, you know, then it's too late. You know, it's late in the game then. I want to know that you care about me when I don't have anything to offer.
Yeah.
You know, other than I'm glad you're doing well. You know, so you want to be able to do that. And it's like I said, that's one of the things that I think has been an opportunity that so many people haven't taken advantage of this year during this time.
I love that idea. I'm like, I literally was thinking like, who I need to reach out.
Mm, just
I
reach.
need to reach out to people and just say, hey, how are you doing?
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be anything long. It can be very simple,
It
but
can
just,
be very simple,
I
but
love,
it's worth doing.
yeah, I love that idea. I love that idea. So
Yeah.
I want to move into this idea of microaggressions.
Mhm.
So as people of color,
Uh-huh.
we certainly have had our share of where microaggressions occur in the workplace.
Yes.
And if you don't have a lot of experience with it, or if you don't, a lot of us sometimes we don't know what to do.
Right.
So we're like suffering in silence, we're very unhappy. And now that's showing up in our work,
And our
you
health.
know, and in our health. And then it's feeding into the narrative, well, I didn't think that this person was supposed to be in this space anyway. What are ways that we can handle some of these microaggressions that we experience in the workplace from a human resources perspective?
Mhm.
You know,
You
how can
know,
we advocate for ourselves basically?
yeah. I don't know that it's just through human resources.
Okay.
I think you first have to build confidence. If you're not confident, you're not going to um, give a rebuttal to some of these things. But I don't think that the first time you're seeing, or you're feeling microaggressions is at work. I think they happen long before then. You grow up with them and you've just let them build up and build up and build up, not saying anything. But I think you can do something that's real easy, that sort of makes people at least stop and think. Because understand that as a woman of color, a lot of times the assumption is that you're going to be angry already. They don't even know you. You haven't even started yet, and they think you're angry.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And so when someone says, "Well, you know what? I think they're angry," I'd like to say, "Well, can you give me an example of that?
Mm.
You know, or help me understand why you would say that. Not help me understand why you would say that." You know,
Mm-hmm.
we need to be strategic over emotional. Now,
Mm.
that's not always easy to do. I'm not saying this is easy. Marsha said it, so now you're going to do it. That's
Yeah.
not what I'm saying. But you need to try for that, because I want to be able to. Um, I'm pretty aggressive. And I know it. I'm not going to be one that will let people push me around.
Okay.
But I think that people who are less assertive than I am need to kind of take a deep breath, because breathing is physically good for you to do anyway.
Mm. Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
stop people in their tracks and say, wow, that seems a little bit inconsistent to what at work I'd say that seems a little bit inconsistent to how we say we're going to treat people.
Mm. I like that.
You
I
know,
like that.
help me understand why you would say that. Can you give me an example of how I've demonstrated anger?
Mm.
Can you give me an example of why you think I'm not a cultural fit? That's another term used quite often. She's just
Mhm.
not a fit. Well, what is a fit? Help me understand. Let's put those down, and
Yeah.
then show me how I haven't done that. Not in an angry way, but I think that we owe it to ourselves to start asking people to explain their biases. Sometimes unconscious,
Hmm.
usually not. It's built in.
Yeah. Yeah. But I like how you said that. Like that was so just such an eye opener. Like that doesn't sound like how we said that we were going to treat people.
Yeah. And so I say, when we at these companies now that's saying, I go back to look at their mission statement,
Mm.
then I ask people in their company, have they been following that? And if not, hold them to it.
Yeah, I love that.
Print it out and point it. See right here where you said you were going to do such and such and such. See that letter you wrote about discrimination and how we're not going to discriminate anymore?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Where is that?
I love that. And I think sometimes we don't want to lose our job. So we're afraid to hold people
I don't want to lose my
accountable.
health either.
Yeah.
I don't want to lose my job, but I want to take it to a place where you can do your thing, but that I can shine too. I don't have to dim my shine
Mm.
to make you happy.
Mm. And I think unconsciously we do that.
Oh yeah.
We do that a lot because we don't want the whole she's an angry Black girl. I remember when I was in graduate school trying to get this degree to be this psychologist, and we would talk about my people, our people. We would have conversations about at-risk populations, and I would become the way that some of my colleagues would just kind of discard it, I would become very passionate. And it
Yeah.
just got to the point that I would have to literally say, I'm not angry, but I'm passionate about little Black boys and little Black girls.
That's right.
I'm passionate about them and them receiving what they need. And it just it's kind of crazy now that I think about it. But I would have one of my friends. She'd be like, "This is not Angry Roz." Like that's how she would kind of introduce me.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And finally, I just had to say, you don't have to introduce me like that, because that just feeds into the stereotype of Black women being angry. And I was like, the reason why I say I'm not angry is because I'm passionate. They're two different things. If it was a man speaking in these terms, nobody would say he was angry.
Yeah.
People would just see that it was assertive and that, he was just having his say, and so I think that sometimes we get ourselves in a situation where, because I know at times that I'm like, I'm tired of explaining.
Yeah.
How I feel about it.
We're going to always have to explain. You know what? Because people who haven't dealt with what we've dealt with or haven't gone through what we've gone through are just not going to get it. Now, understand, and this has also come up a lot this year. It always came up, but now you really hear it. Oh, I didn't realize that they were doing that. Guess what? We were living through all of this garbage all of our lives, and we were still successful.
Yes.
Some of them have been in the house for 6 months, and now they need drugs.
Right.
It's like we have gone through this. We don't need to. We are strong. When people, it's almost a term now. She's a strong Black woman. Well, yeah, and I am. But that still means that I want to be treated with respect, that I still want to be seen, that I still want to be heard. And I'm going to do it in a very different way, possibly, than you expect. And then I'm going to hold you accountable when you say something that is a microaggression or when you say something that's wrong.
I love it. And I feel like now in this time, we have the opportunity to really do that.
Yeah.
To really put companies on notice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which brings me to my point. I saw your piece that you wrote in regards to Wells Fargo, the CEO of Wells Fargo, saying that there's not Black talent. And I was like, "Ooh, Marsha went off." I was like, Marsha said her piece, but I was infuriated.
As you should be. As you should be. And at the same time, 5 executive Black women left and said, enough.
Yes.
Enough from Wells Fargo. Now, think about it, and I'll go there with you. Wells Fargo is also the one that was cheating people on mortgages a few years ago.
Yes.
They can't find Black people. Well, guess what? They weren't sitting in your backyard. You have to go out and look for us, but you look for us the same way. I want to know those people who have been looking, Who are they? And if that CEO wants to, don't tell me I'm sorry. Say, I'm going to go back and talk to the people who've been recruiting and see where they've been recruiting from.
Right.
I'm going to find someone who can look at my matrix and see what the problem is, and I'm going to fix it. But to just say I can't find people is crazy. And I'm afraid that he's not going to do that. And I just saw another piece that said now he's going to do something with historical Black colleges for recruitment day. Well, guess what he's going to do? He's going to have those same people doing the recruiting and saying how the people, the students from the historical Black colleges don't fit because he hasn't changed anything internally.
Absolutely.
I think we should all hold back money. I wish we just never used them again until he left or learned. He should do one or the other. I'm trying to be strategic now. I'm just passionate.
I completely agree with you because you know what that said to me is that, oh, this is the culture of the company.
Yeah,
this just isn't something coming from him.
Absolutely.
Because the company was okay with it. They were okay with him saying that.
Now think about the other. Now I know that Jamie Dimon from Chase has taken on a very different approach.
Yeah.
He's taken on, let's start a program called Advancing Black Leaders.
Yeah.
You know, and why could Chase find people?
Right.
But Wells Fargo can't.
Right.
Just think about that.
And it's crazy because they don't see us as comparable.
Yes.
Skills. And it's crazy. There are over 100 HBCUs. Yes. You can go to any one of them and find someone who has a comparable skill set.
Well, you know, that's at that level. But you don't even have to go to the historic. It's not like all of us are in school.
Right. Right.
We are everywhere.
Everywhere. I would just
love to know where they were looking. I'd love to hold them accountable and say, where were they looking? That they couldn't find anyone. And what would give him the audacity to even repeat it? How insensitive and how lack of intelligence he has that he could repeat that.
Yeah. And it completely, you know, because like diversity is becoming like this big thing now, right? You know, it's so funny because you're seeing like all these Black or people of color being promoted as the chief diversity executive or you know, it's like we could be promoted to other things. You know what I mean?
You know, I'm also a little bit concerned even about that. Now, I think we should take those jobs because we deserve those jobs.
Right.
But I think that those companies that are not that are hiring chief diversity officers like HR folks that are not reporting in to the CEO and letting the CEO be trained as well are just putting them there to satisfy, check the box.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So you know, a lot of times I was in HR all my life. But I tell you that there's a lot of things that HR people may want to do that they can't do because they don't report to the right person. They're not the influencer. So you have to understand that there's some things that I can tell you that I'd want to say to somebody like, you know what, girlfriend, you need to check this. You need to do it this way. You need to go around this way. But I couldn't because HR oftentimes is representing the company and can't get you to the point that you need to get to. So it's a slippery slope there, and we have to pay attention to it. And I think we need to hold all CEOs accountable. I think that's where it starts. It starts from the very top. And if they're not willing to meet with people, train with people, hear people that can help them, then I don't think they're serious.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that I completely agree with you. You know, because it shouldn't have taken George Floyd's death, for people to recognize that they don't have diversity in their
In the
workplace.
organization. Absolutely.
Yeah, it just shouldn't have happened.
Yeah. But now that it has happened, what are we going to do about it?
Yeah.
And you know what? I think that we have to do things for ourselves that's still going to make us happy. I worry about our health because we've taken on the burden now, and often in many cases of trying to train people how not to be racist. I don't think we can do that. I think that, I say, people say to me, how can I be an ally? I say, I don't want you to just like me. I want you to do something about it. So if you have some influence, don't be an ally, be an advocate. I want to
Yeah.
hear what you say to your white friends. Not what
Yes.
you say to me.
Right. Right.
Don't tell me you're my friend, and then to your white friends, there's a whole different conversation going on, or there's no race conversation going on at all.
Right. And it's so interesting you say that how can I be an ally? And I've just had to do this, look at those who ask me that and say, asking the oppressed to teach you how to not oppress us
Yeah.
any longer
Yes.
is further oppressing us. That's
Right.
not my job.
Right.
You need to figure it out. You and your friends, your community,
Yeah.
you need to figure it out, because it's not our job to teach you and to tell you how to be a better human.
That's right. You have to be a better human being.
Yeah,
And I have white friends, and I like them.
I love them.
But you know
Love
what?
them.
I'm not going to those that feel very different when I'm not around, or talk very differently when I'm not around. I don't have to be around. I
Yeah.
just don't have to be around.
Yeah.
I don't have to tolerate that. And you know what? I also think with age comes experience.
Yes.
So I think some of the young folks that don't know how to address these things should be talking to old folks like me.
Yeah.
Because we've been through it. This is not new.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is truly not new. It's not.
Which is why I love this series of having a seat at the table, because getting this wisdom from you, when do people get to go talk to their HR person? Most people fear HR because they're like, if I go to HR, I'm in trouble.
Yep.
Something has happened.
Yep.
Most people.
And oftentimes that's the case.
Yeah.
So HR shouldn't be your only thought process. It shouldn't be, I'll either go to HR or I'll go to a lawyer. It shouldn't be that. It means if you don't have a place to go, then your network is too small. You should talk to people. Some of my clients are top executives, and they will walk out of the room and pick up the phone and call me and say, I cannot take another minute of this garbage. And I will walk them through the process. And these people have been in the workplace for many years. You need someone else to talk to. I become my client's strategic thinking partner. And I'm not going to tell everybody, go out and leave that job. I'm going to say, let's strategically talk about what you're getting from them and what you're giving them, and how much of it you can take. And you need to know that.
We need you in our back pocket every single day that we work into the workplace. We need you.
Everybody, just hire me. I like to do these kind of conversations so that groups can hear this stuff.
Yeah.
Because we're going to have to go back into the workplace, and some people are going to never have changed or gotten worse.
Absolutely. No, absolutely.
And,
absolutely.
And the election is coming. Oh, Lord. But, so we have all of these things that we need to think about. So we have to get centered for ourselves. Yeah. We have to take care of ourselves. We have to practice self-care, and we have to help each other win. We have to help each other win.
That part. We have to help each other win. I was so disappointed. I was reading in a Facebook group yesterday. Someone had made a post. Someone had posted this on Twitter, and then someone brought it back to the Facebook group. But they were saying, when are we going to have the conversation of how it's so hard to work for Black women? And I was heartbroken when people were responding to that, like, yeah, I had this one Black woman that I worked for, and my life was horrible. You know, they were just giving these accounts. And gratefully, I have not had that experience. Praise God. You know, I have not had that experience. But for those that have, how do we change their mindset that we have to help each other win? For those of us in leadership,
mindset are we going to try to change? The person who was getting beat up or the person who was beating them up?
the person that was beating them up. How do we get those leaders to understand that we don't lead by being barbaric?
Yeah, we have to keep saying it. We have to hold people accountable no matter what their race is. If you have a Black female boss that is mean and angry and giving you garbage, then you have to be able to say, why? Why? Again, I go back to these same two questions. Help me understand. Help me understand why you think you need to do that for me when we should be helping each other win. Change your conversation. Because trust me, you get beat up at work and then you come home and then you beat up on somebody because you beat up on. You know, angry people who are not happy want to make other people unhappy. And I don't care what race they are. So it goes past that. It means that we need to rethink the process. And we need to help other people. So you can help somebody else by when they're angry or when they're mad or when they're treating you badly, to stop them and say, why are you doing that? Did you hear what you just said to me? Do you know how that sounded? How it made me feel? Did you mean to do that in that way? Stop. Don't get angry and argue back. That's what you want to do. But stop and put some basic questions down. If it has ever happened to you before, go back and think about it. That's the R in there, the reflect.
I love that.
Think about what happened and how you can handle it differently. How you can handle it differently. Instead of getting angry, could you have asked some questions? What would those questions have been? To make that person stop and think. We have the book, my co-authors and I have the Little Black Book of Success. We also did a companion workbook where we ask those questions. We write those questions down and say, has this happened to you? If so, how did you handle it? If you had to redo that, would you handle it the same way, or what would you do differently? If it hasn't happened to you, how would you handle it now? And when you can start thinking it through ahead of time, because trust me, there's still going to be a microaggression. There's still going to be an angry boss. There's still going to be someone who treats you mean. All of those things are still going to happen again in your lifetime, whether you're at work or not. So plan it ahead of time. Think, you know how you get home, something makes you really upset, and you get home and you say, I should have said.
Listen, I had a little Facebook, I wasn't even arguing, right? But it was probably about 2 years ago, and I still reflect on those moments like, I should have said this. I should have said that. Right. And I love that. I love that idea of planning, because, I call myself the girl with a plan. I'm always, if this happens, then what?
Yes.
I'm always in that space, right? But I do like adding that piece of reflection. Reflecting on it, because when you reflect on your actions, right, you can see yourself doing different things. You can visualize yourself doing different things. And I love the idea. First of all, I'm waiting for my book to come. I ordered it. I'm so excited. You want to hold it up so you can show people the cover so they know what it looks like?
Ooh, the Little Black Book of Success.
I'm so excited to read. I mean, it's Laws of Leadership for Black Women.
Yes, it is. And the companion workbook, which I don't have sitting here next to me, it has the same cover with a big pink banner across, saying workbook, but the same black cover, pink writing, cover across. And I just think that it's so vitally important that we start taking care of ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not surprised that during COVID, they say it hit more Black communities because we were carrying so much before.
Absolutely.
And they want to say it's the way you ate, it's the way it's your lower income economic status. It also has a lot to do with how we've been treated.
Yeah. The emotional toll. Absolutely.
It's emotional as well. So we need to do some things to make ourselves happy, keep ourselves happy, and also to negate some of those things that have pushed us a little further into not taking care of ourselves. And then we get so busy trying to prove that we're smarter, that we work harder, that we do all of those things, then we don't take care of ourselves again. So part of it is we don't take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
We don't get enough rest. We don't get enough sleep. We don't get enough quiet time. To do those things. So we need to be able to do that. We need to have time. I call it, time to think, the 3 T's, time to think. Back away from it for a little bit and just think about, what can I do that's different? What's going to make me happy? Does what I'm doing now fit into my goals and dreams? And then take those dreams out of storage and make them big. They need to be big, hairy, audacious goals. And then we have to work toward them, and do those, because we are blessed. We are blessed. We just don't see the blessing because we're working so hard trying to get through life. So we need to take some of those things into account as well.
I love that idea. I love that, take time to think.
Yeah.
Step away from it, because sometimes we're just on autopilot. We literally are on autopilot.
Yes.
And because I tell people all the time, COVID was a blessing and a curse.
That's right.
Because me, you don't know me, but I'm a social butterfly. I feel like I got to be at everything. I feel like I can't miss anything. But when I tell you I've had the opportunity to rest my soul, like I never knew how great naps could be.
Girl, now you're talking my language.
I never knew how great it could be just to not have to just be on the go.
Yes.
But to have a moment of just sitting still. Like I'm treasuring this time now, because my life before COVID was ridiculously crazy.
Yes.
All over the place. Just doing this, doing that, feeling like I had to do things. And that's when I realized, you spoke about it earlier, that I really wasn't doing things with intention. I was doing things, but there was no intention with it. And now, like in COVID, I've had this opportunity to be more intentional about what I give my time to. I'm grateful for just this opportunity that I was able to slow down.
That's right.
I was able to slow down. Yeah.
It makes it all the better. And to start planning now, it's so funny. I was talking to clients and talking about planning right now should be the planning that goes past the end of the year.
Yeah.
To next year. What do you want next year to look like? Next year, when we're talking about what we did during COVID, what do we want to say we accomplished?
Absolutely.
I'm big on writing it down. Write it down and then see where the gap is. Well, I didn't quite get that done yet. Well, what's stopping you? What's stopping you from planning for your future? What do you want your future self to say about this year?
I love that.
Oof.
Marsha, I love that. I love because when have we had the opportunity to just stop and plan?
We haven't. We
We
haven't.
haven't.
You know, my husband and I and a group of friends, it's 6 of us that travel all the time together. We've been
Mhm,
traveling together for many years, and my husband and I have been to 6 of the 7 continents.
mhm, mhm.
I have said, you know what? As much as we love to travel, I don't miss it this year. Right before COVID hit, we were in India, Donald, my husband and I. We were in India. We came back, and then we were here. We were just, quarantined in here.
Yeah.
And we stayed in, and we found that, there were so many other things to do. First of all, I had never watched more TV
Yeah.
than I found Netflix. Who had ever seen, I had never seen more than 1 or 2 things on Netflix. So
Yeah.
now in the evening, I can turn off my computer at a set time,
Yeah.
not something that I did before. I just worked until I couldn't work anymore.
Yeah.
But I now turn it off at a set time. I have always turned my phone off at a set time so that I'm not getting text messages and stuff. And now I can just sit
Mm,
and and even if I'm doing something mindless, it's time to think.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's when I write my notes to people. I can tell you that between the time COVID hit and now, I have contacted personally over 400 people
Wow.
just to say, how you doing? Thinking of you. Just want to say hello. I am known for doing that
Wow.
because why? Because that's my value. That's what I want to be known for. I want to
Yeah.
be known for staying in touch.
Yeah. I
So,
love that. I I I admire people like you who can
well,
do
just think of what it is you want to be known for.
yeah.
Whatever it is you want, it doesn't have to be that. It could be anything. Whatever it is you want to be known for, you should be living it.
Yeah, I have a best friend who is just like you. She never misses a beat of anniversary, birthday.
Disagree. Trust me.
She never misses a beat. And I'm like, I just admire that about you. And I've always felt like I just don't have time to.
Mhm.
But you make time for those things that matter.
That's exactly right. You do. You make time for things that matter. Make time for things that matter.
And I guess my final question, I can't believe the hour has come upon us.
Wow.
I know. This has been such a great conversation. I forgot we were actually doing a podcast. But my final question is, and you touched on it a little bit, but you, as this genius that you are, as this leadership authority expert, as this woman who has managed other people, who you empower other people, what do you do for self-care?
Mm, yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for giving me all those compliments. I'm just going to take them all in. I'm just going to take it all. Maybe somebody will believe it. I'll just take
Oh,
it.
it's true. It's definitely true.
But it's interesting because there was a time that I was a true workaholic, doing all of those things that we talk about. But there were a couple of things that I did. I happen to like the gym. So when I was working in a corporate job, I used to go to the gym in the morning before going to work.
Mhm.
Okay, so I did that. I don't do that now, but I do love to walk. So I said to you before we got on the call, I said, oh, I did a couple of mile walk this morning before. I either walk or bike ride.
Mm,
So that's something that I do because I like to do it. Doesn't feel like it's a problem.
mhm.
Things that things that you don't like to do, you got to put it on the list and force yourself to do it. So
Yeah.
I do those. Don't have to force myself to do that at all. I've now pulled out some of those old exercise tapes. Oh gosh, old exercise CDs, and I'm trying those. I did Tybo the other day.
Oh,
God, is that hard? That's hard.
yes.
But I did that again the other day. So that's for me. That's stimulating. That's self care. Um, I as I said, my husband and I like to travel. I love spas. So when we could go places that had a spa and included in that process, then I did that. I also like to garden.
Mm.
Now, I am here in Florida.
Mhm.
This is my first time spending the entire summer here in Florida.
Okay.
And let me tell you, they have animals out here where I am. So this year I haven't seen what I call big boy. That's a big alligator that walks, and he walks like he owns property here. So I haven't seen him this year, but I've seen snakes. I've seen, so you just have to be a little careful gardening at
Mhm.
certain times.
Mhm.
So I do that, and I'm an orchid collector. So I collect orchids and I hang them in my trees outside. So
Oh,
I do that, and that's very relaxing and sort of rewarding. And then I also write, and just talking to people relaxes me. Actually, you know, I'd rather try to help you solve your problem,
yeah.
because my mission is that people will be, especially women of color, will be both as happy and as successful as I have been. I've truly been blessed, and I do know that. But I think there are ways um, to help that along, and I try to do that with the people that I work with.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
This has been a fantastic hour. I'm forgetting that I'm interviewing you because I'm trying to take it all in and trying to take all the notes, right?
We'll be talking a lot. We're friends now. We're buddies.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, I'm excited to say Marsha is my friend.
Yeah.
Like she is the guru, the genius guru. But I have enjoyed this so much, and I thank you for taking the time out to just bless my audience
Thank you.
with your words of wisdom. I do, but I want them to get in touch with you. So how can they reach you?
Well, my website is my company name, StepWise Associates. STEP is in Peter, WISE Associates, StepWise Associates. I'm on Facebook and Instagram under my name and my company name, so Marsha Haygood. And I'll tweet that often, but on Twitter it's Stepwise Assoc, because it wouldn't fit, all the letters wouldn't fit. So, but Facebook and LinkedIn, and I'm definitely on LinkedIn. But I say, if you're going to connect with me on LinkedIn, don't give me the lazy LinkedIn message. Don't just hit the button. Add a note to it so I know who you are and what
Yeah.
you're about and why you want to connect and all of those good things. So I enjoy all of those things. But joining my mailing list allows you to know if you go on my website and you join my mailing list, it allows you to know anytime I'm speaking or doing something. And I'm doing something later on this month, another speaking engagement later on this month. And
You just did something with Black Enterprise?
yeah, Black Enterprise, Women of Power in Tech. And I did a group coaching session, which is what I'll do later on this month on my own. But I did it with Black Enterprise on creating your playbook for success.
Mm.
So it's always around leadership. It's always around success strategies and tips that I'm usually talking about.
You're amazing.
Thank you.
Just so amazing. So you say you're doing a group coaching.
Yeah, I'm putting it together now. I haven't put the date on it, but I want to do it in October. I specifically want to do it prior to election.
Oh, okay.
So it will definitely be in October. I think I'm going to do the last Saturday in October, and it'll just be an hour, join a Zoom call or join a webinar and do that. And then
And
in
people can go to stepwise.com to find out.
yeah, if they look on any one of the social medias, because when I do that, I will put it on social media. And stepwiseassociates.com is the website, so I'll try to put something out on that as well. And on LinkedIn, it'll be in all of the places. But just join me anytime. Anytime. I love doing this. Thank you so much.
Thank
It's been
you.
so much fun talking to you. Every time we get together, we have a good time.
I know. I just enjoy you. I don't know you. It's your voice. Your voice draws me into your voice. It's just like I just want to just want to sit and just get all of your listen to all your tutelage. But I thank you. I thank you so much for being open to doing this. You didn't know me from Jack Adam, but you said yes.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you because I know that we are going to help some people with what you've shared today. And I know that that's your goal.
That's
And
my
that's always my goal. And so I'm so glad that we were able to do that today. And I'm glad that you said yes. And it has been my honor and it has been my pleasure to have you today.
Well, thank you so very much. I look forward to talking to you again real soon.
Indeed, indeed. And thank you guys for joining the Dr. Ross Show. I hope that you learned something here that was beneficial for you. If you have questions, you can reach out to Miss Marsha Haygood. Connect with her on LinkedIn. I think that's where she likes to talk on LinkedIn. So connect with her there and you can find it under her name. And make sure that she's one of your friends too, because we all need a friend like Miss Marsha.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a blessed day. I love you with the grace of God, and have a wonderful and blessed day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.